How many of you on this side love God? May I see your hand? All right, some of you don't. Okay. This side, how many of you love God? May I see your hand? Hands down. How many of you are willing to do anything God says? I don't see your hands. Raise them higher. We're willing to do anything God says. Hands down. Who is not willing to do anything God says? Let me tell you a secret. Until you are willing to do whatever God tells you, you are not surrendered to God. The devil knows that as long as man's life is more precious to him than anything else, that person is vulnerable to the devil's attacks. Let me say it again. As long as my life is my most precious possession, I am vulnerable to the devil, because the devil only has to threaten my life and I will leave God's work alone. I must love God more than I love my life. Let me say differently. I must love God more than I love that which is most important to me, because that which is most important to me may not be my life, it may be my baby's life. Do you love God more than you love your children? Don't answer me. Do you love God more than you love your spouse? Recite the first commandment for me. What does that include? Anything that comes ahead of God. It may be a person, it may be an ambition, it may be a career, it may be a false doctrine. Eloise said false doctrines are gods. And so, why I don't mean to shake you up, I want you to think, do we really love God? Recite John 3:16 for me. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. Stop. How many begotten sons does God have? One. Now, if God had 6 and he gave one, that would not be quite as spectacular as having only one and giving him up. How many begotten sons did Abraham have? But how many sons did he have total? 8. Genesis 25 verse 1. Then again Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah. And she bare him Zimran and Jokshan and Medan and Midian and Ishbak and Shua. Amen. 6. Of course, he had Ishmael first, Isaac second. He had 8 boys, but of the 8, which one was the only begotten? Isaac. Which one did God ask for? Isaac. God will ask you to sacrifice what is most important to you to test your love for him. And if you cannot make that sacrifice, any claim to love God is false.